The Senate chamber in Washington, D.C. was thick with tension, the air heavy like the moments before a storm. On June 21, 2025, a hearing on national security and Ukraine aid had reached a fever pitch. Vice President J.D. Vance, his voice steady and resolute, had just concluded a speech advocating an America First policy, prioritizing national interests over foreign entanglements. The room buzzed with murmurs, some approving, others skeptical. Then, Senator Adam Schiff, known for his sharp intellect and unshakable composure, rose abruptly. His face was flushed, his voice trembling with barely contained fury. "I'm sorry, but I can't sit here listening to irresponsible words from a jerk like you, Mr. Vice President." The word jerk detonated like a gunshot, silencing the chamber. Senators froze, reporters' pens scratched furiously, and the public gallery leaned forward, breathless. All eyes turned to Vance, expecting a heated retort. What came next, however, was a response so precise and devastating that it left Schiff speechless and ignited a political earthquake that would reverberate across the nation. Vance, seated at the witness table, was an island of calm amidst the chaos. His hands rested lightly on a leather portfolio, his gaze fixed on Schiff. The room held its breath as he leaned forward, his voice low but sharp, cutting through the silence like a blade. "Senator Schiff," he said, pausing to let the name linger, "are you sure you want to start talking about morality?" The question was a dart, piercing the senator's armor. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Schiff stiffened, his jaw clenched, waving a hand dismissively. "Don't lecture me, Mr. Vice President," he snapped, his voice dripping with contempt. "You're still wet behind the ears. You don't understand how Washington works." The gallery buzzed, senators shifting uneasily. Schiff, the seasoned lawyer, leaned back, arms crossed, daring Vance to continue. But Vance's eyes remained cold and steady, locking onto Schiff's, with an intensity that seemed to unnerve him. "I understand, Washington," Vance said, his voice dropping to a near whisper, forcing the room to strain to hear. "I see the deals made in shadows, the promises broken in daylight. And I see your name, Senator, on documents it shouldn't be on." The chamber erupted in gasps. Reporters scrambled, their pens a swarm of insects. Schiff's smugness vanished. He leaned forward, gripping the table's edge. "What are you implying?" he demanded, his voice sharp, but betraying a flicker of unease. Vance didn't answer immediately. He opened his portfolio slowly, the motion drawing every eye. "I'm not implying," he said, his tone conversational yet unyielding. "I'm stating the truth. You've taken money from foreign entities through shell companies, Senator, to fund campaigns that divide this country." The accusation was thunderous. Senators exchanged stunned glances, some shaking their heads, others riveted. Schiff paled, his lips moving wordlessly. Vance pressed on, relentless. "You've built a career on defending democracy, yet you've taken millions from those who profit from our division. You call me a jerk, but what do you call someone who trades ideals for power?" The hearing room was a pressure cooker, the air heavy with shock. Schiff slammed his hand on the table, roaring, "Outrageous! You have no evidence, no standing to make such baseless accusations." His voice cracked, betraying panic. Vance, unblinking, pulled a sheet of paper from the portfolio, holding it aloft. "No evidence?" he asked, his voice almost gentle but razor-sharp. "Then explain the email I sent to the Oversight Committee this morning, detailing wire transfers, a shell company in Delaware, And your voice, Senator, discussing discreet contributions with a donor from Brussels. Chaos erupted. Senators shouted, some demanding order, others explanations. Reporters rushed to the press gallery, phones buzzing with breaking news. Schiff's face turned ashen, his trembling hand clutching a pen, scribbling meaningless notes to feign composure. "You're fabricating," he muttered, his words drowned in the noise. Vance leaned back, his expression unchanged, as if discussing the weather. "Fabrication is the game of those with something to hide," he said, his voice carrying an authority that silenced the room. "I've seen the ledgers, read the memos, and watched you preach unity while pocketing funds that sow discord. You want to talk about Washington? Let's talk about the cost. Families torn apart, lives lost, because of your choices." Schiff glanced at his aides, who sat frozen, faces pale. He opened his mouth, but no words came. The hearing room had transformed into a courtroom, with Vance as both prosecutor and witness. A Republican senator from Texas leaned forward. "Mr. Vice President, these are serious allegations. Can you prove them?" Vance nodded, tapping the portfolio. "Every page has been sent to the Ethics Committee. Emails, transfers, whistleblower testimony. It's all there." The room fell silent, broken only by the hum of cameras and rustling papers. Schiff's chair creaked as he shifted, his eyes fixed on the floor, avoiding his colleagues' gazes. Reporters whispered feverishly, live streams broadcasting the moment to millions. Schiff, once a pillar of composure, sat motionless, his gaze vacant, like a man whose mask had been torn off. Vance's words about families and lost lives hung in the air, a weight the entire room felt. Vance opened his portfolio again, each movement deliberate. "Senator Schiff," he began, his voice a scalpel, "you've received over $20 million from foreign entities through a network of shell companies in Delaware to fund campaigns that divide America." The accusation shook the room anew. Schiff gripped the table, knuckles white. "That's a lie," he shouted, his voice trembling, eyes betraying fear. Vance held up a stack of documents, the light glinting off numbers and signatures. "A lie? Then explain these emails, sent to the Oversight Committee this morning, showing you promising political influence for wire transfers, or the bank transactions to divisive campaigns in California and Ohio. And if that's not enough, I have a recording, your voice, Senator, discussing undisclosed contributions." The room exploded. Shouts rang out, senators standing, reporters jostling. Schiff tried to rally, shouting, "This is a cheap political stunt." But his words faltered, his eyes wavering like a man trapped. Vance tapped his portfolio. "The evidence is with the Ethics Committee. Emails, transfers, recordings, testimony from your former aide who tired of covering your secrets." Schiff collapsed into his chair, hands covering his face. A CNN reporter whispered, "This is unprecedented." Cameras captured Schiff's defeat, and Vance's calm, a chess match, concluded. Vance didn't stop. "You've preached democracy, but let foreign money fracture this nation. Look in the mirror, Senator." Schiff stood, stumbling, signaling to his aide. "I won't listen to slander," he declared weakly, exiting the room. His empty chair, captured by cameras, became a symbol of his downfall. Reporters swarmed him in the hallway, but he shook his head, silent. Back in the chamber, Vance remained, his eyes suggesting the story was far from over. The chamber's chaos subsided, but the weight of Vance's words lingered. He stood, pulling a folded letter from his pocket, its edges worn. "I want to tell a story," he said, his voice warm, contrasting his earlier sharpness. "Not about money or power, but about those forgotten." He held up the letter, revealing childish handwriting. "This is from Emma Carter, a 12-year-old from Ohio. Her father, an intelligence officer, died after his identity was exposed, a consequence of campaigns funded by the money Schiff took." The room fell silent. Senators bowed their heads, some touching their chests. Vance read Emma's words. "I don't know why my dad died, but I want someone to tell the truth, so my mom doesn't cry every night." A Democratic senator wiped a tear. Reporters stopped writing. Vance folded the letter, pointing to the gallery. "Sarah Carter, Emma's mother, is here today." Cameras swung to a woman with red eyes but resolute posture. Sarah stood, her voice trembling. "I don't want fame or money. I want Emma to know her father didn't die in vain." "Thank you, Mr. Vice President." Applause erupted, crossing party lines. Vance pulled out a police badge glinting under the lights. "This belongs to Ethan's father, a California police officer killed in violence caused by defunded security, tied to dirty money." He gripped the badge tightly. "Ethan, a 10-year-old, gave me this and said, 'Keep it so my dad isn't forgotten.' I promised him I would." The room was swept by emotion. A Republican senator whispered, "I have a grandson Ethan's age." Sobs broke out in the gallery. An NBC correspondent murmured, "This isn't politics. This is about people." Outside, social media erupted. A post read, "Vance fights for Emma and Ethan." A video of Vance reading Emma's letter gained millions of views, with comments like, "I cried for Ethan." "Vance is the leader we need." Vance continued, his voice firm. "Emma and Ethan aren't alone. Thousands have lost loved ones because of decisions bought with foreign money. They deserve justice." He placed the letter and badge on the table, a silent vow, and sat down. Sarah Carter clutched her husband's photo, tears streaming. A young reporter, Liam Hayes, filmed the moment, posting it with the caption, "Vance changed everything. This is the power of truth." The video went viral, sparking candlelight vigils in Ohio and California. In a secluded Capitol Hill office, Schiff sat behind his desk, his face a mask of panic and resolve. The storm Vance unleashed dominated news and social media. Schiff summoned his advisors, his voice sharp. "We need to turn this around. Vance is using sob stories to manipulate emotions. Hit his evidence." An advisor suggested leaking claims that Vance's information came from far-right groups. Schiff nodded, recording a video denying the allegations. "I'm under attack by political slander," he said, posting it online. It gained traction among supporters, but faced backlash, with comments demanding, "Explain Emma and Ethan." Schiff's plan unraveled when Ryan Carter, a disillusioned staffer, leaked a text from Schiff instructing an aide to handle a Delaware transaction. Ryan sent it to Liam Hayes, who posted it with the caption, "Schiff knew about the foreign money." The post shattered Schiff's counterattack, reaching millions. Schiff roared, "Who?" as his aides paled. The young woman advisor confirmed Ryan's resignation. Schiff sank into his chair, defeated by his own team's betrayal. Public outrage surged. A California mother wrote, "My child died because of violence Schiff funded." News channels replayed the leaked text, CNN calling it a fatal blow, Fox affirming Vance's claims. In the Senate, a Democrat shook his head. If that text is real, he's done. Liam Hayes posted updates, including Vance leaving the chamber with Emma's letter, captioned, "Vance gave us a reason to believe." The Senate Ethics Committee reviewed Vance's evidence, emails, transfers, recordings, and Ryan's leaked text. Within a week, they found Schiff had violated campaign finance laws. In a tense Senate session, Schiff sat in the back row, gaunt and silent. The vote to censure and suspend him passed 85 to 15. He left quietly, engulfed by reporters, his legacy in tatters. Vance stood, his voice now healing. "We're not here to destroy a man, but to rebuild trust for Emma, Ethan, and families who've lost too much." He proposed the For the Fallen and Forgotten resolution, investigating deaths linked to illicit funds. It passed unanimously, a rare bipartisan moment. Sarah Carter in the gallery clutched her husband's photo as applause erupted. America stirred. People shared the resolution, posting, "Vance is changing the system." Schools displayed "For the Fallen and Forgotten" banners. Vance visited a Virginia hospital, meeting James Carter, an officer injured in violence tied to security cuts. He handed James Emma's letter, who gripped Vance's hand, saying, "You did what no one dared." The moment, posted online, became a symbol of courage. At Arlington National Cemetery, Vance knelt by Officer Daniel Reed's grave, placing Emma's letter and Ethan's badge. Veterans saluted, and a passerby's photo captioned, "Vance doesn't just talk, he acts," went viral. In Ohio, a mural depicted Emma and Sarah with the resolution's words. In California, veterans honored Ethan's father. Across the nation, people shared names of lost loved ones, building an invisible memorial. In the White House Rose Garden, Vance addressed a small crowd, Emma's letter and Ethan's badge in hand. Sarah, Emma, Ethan, and James Carter's wife stood nearby. "From pain, we find purpose," Vance said. "Leadership is about responsibility." He returned Emma's letter, kneeling to meet her eyes. "You gave me strength." Emma hugged him. Ethan touched the badge pinned to Vance's jacket, saying, "You'll keep your promise." The crowd applauded deeply. At Arlington, students placed flowers by Reed's grave, sharing names like Mary, my mother, and Tom, my brother. Commentators called Vance the awakener of the nation's conscience. A plumber posted, "Vance stands for people like me." A teacher's students wrote letters to Vance, one reading, "I want to protect the vulnerable like you." In the Senate chamber, now quiet, a janitor, Clara Evans, told Vance, "My husband, an officer, died because of budget cuts. Thank you for giving us a voice." Vance promised to keep fighting. The moment, posted online, went viral. Vance stood alone, gazing at Schiff's empty chair, Emma's letter, and Ethan's badge before him. Outside, America changed through small acts, candles in Ohio, murals in California, shared names. Liam Hayes's final post showed Vance with Emma and Ethan, captioned, "Say their names." Comments read, "I remember Laura, Henry, heroes." As night fell over Washington, Capitol Hill's lights glowed with hope. Vance, with Emma's letter and Ethan's badge, had ignited a flame of truth and courage, inspiring a nation. The story of J.D. Vance confronting Adam Schiff reflects America's deep issues: lost trust in politics, the divide between leaders and people, and the hunger for justice. Emma's letter, Ethan's badge, and the For the Fallen and Forgotten resolution symbolize real pain from opaque decisions. Vance's sincerity, from exposing Schiff to honoring graves, shows the power of responsibility. Schiff's downfall, sealed by Ryan's leak, warns that deceit will be exposed. In a polarized society, Every individual can spark change. Like Vance, listen to stories like Emma's and Ethan's and act for the common good. Like Ryan, Azrenya speak out despite risks. Like Liam, share stories to inspire. Justice comes from small, courageous acts. Live authentically, ignite hope, and remember the fallen. Join the journey for truth.